What's up, everybody? Uh, Welcome to my first post-game recap of the channel. It's Alex D'Angelo Basketball. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, well, my name is Alex D'Angelo, but this is my Alex D'Angelo Basketball YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, I recommend you hit that subscribe button down below. So I'm going to do my first post-game recap. So this is going to be the games of last night because there's still games going on right now, and I feel like I'd start off the channel with doing all the ones from last night. So the game obviously that I watched all the way through was the Celtics game. Celtics played the Raptors yesterday, and we won. We won by 2 points. It was super close, but and I know you're gonna say, "Oh, the Raptors are like one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference. It shouldn't have been that close." Well, for one thing, Jason Tatum did not play, and Jaylen Brown played really well, and so did our bench. But also, Marcus Smart, Derek White, and Robert Williams all left the game with some kind of ankle or knee injuries. So that really that kind of what led to the game being close. But we still managed to pull it out and get our 9th win in a row. So if we look at the box score, so if I click on the game and we take a look at the box score, Jaylen Brown had 27 points, 8 rebounds and 6 assists. He did a great job. Al Horford, he wasn't too productive in the scoring department, but he did a lot of the little things like getting rebounds, getting blocks as well. If we go to the stats. Well, these are the team stats, but Robert Williams, again, he only played 15 minutes because he got hurt in like the second quarter, I think. He had 2 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. So he did all right. Derek White also, well, he played 29 minutes. He had 8 points, 3 rebounds, or 3 assists and 1 rebound, but he didn't play that too much, but again, my allergies, I've been dealing with allergies, so excuse me for that. But Marcus Smart, again, only played 16 minutes. He got hurt in like the first half. He had 2 points, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds. Didn't do too bad. But it didn't do terrible in those limited minutes. But anyways, and Malcolm Brogdon off the bench did great. He had 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Malcolm Brogdon has been our spark plug off the bench, and props to him. He's done a great job filling in that bench role and stepping up, especially when we've happened to sit players. Like I said, Jason Tatum didn't play, so him stepping up in the scoring department was huge for us. So good for him. Grant Williams, though, was the second leading scorer on the team. He had 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist. He did a great job. He was knocking down a bunch of threes. He was getting some good post-up moves. He was driving the basket, drawing fouls, and stuff like that. So good for him. He's been great. He's basically kind of been like he's kind of like a PJ Tucker 2.0, if that makes any sense. He's kind of like a pudgy power forward that can space the floor really well. So, and he could guard big men, very similar to PJ Tucker, at a pretty effective rate. So good for him. Peyton Pritchard also coming off the bench, giving us 12 huge points, especially and all of those points came in the fourth quarter. He hit 4 threes. He had 2 rebounds and 2 assists as well. He did a great job. He hit some clutch shots against the Raptors yesterday, so good for him. Blake Griffin, he played decently. He didn't really do too much, but hold on, let me adjust the camera so you. Oh, hold up, move this. There you go. So just so I could see all the scores. Okay, and Luke Cornett only had 2 points and 4 rebounds, but Luke Cornett's not really someone I expect to do much, but he did decent in his role. So, on the Raptors side of things, Pascal Siakam was their leading scorer. He did a great job. He was constantly scoring on us all night. Or all game. He was constantly just driving the lane and making tough layups over all of our guys. Uh, he had a near triple double. He had 29, 9 rebounds and 10 assists. So good for him. He played well. I will say there were a lot of questionable foul calls on the Celtics, as well as the Raptors not really getting called for any calls at all against them. They were kind of like tripping us and shoving us and everything like that, and they weren't really calling stuff. But the Celtics were getting called for tiki tack fouls. I thought it was kind of lopsided the way they officiated the game, but it doesn't matter. We still won, so it's okay. But OG Anunoby also played well. He had 12 points and 3 rebounds. He didn't have any assists, but he did pretty good. Uh, Precious Achua was another big player for the Raptors. He had 17 and 11 and 3 assists. So good for him. He played well as well for them. Got to give credit where credit is due. Scotty Barnes also, he didn't play the best. He only had 10 points, but he was all right. He didn't. It was definitely not one of his best games ever, but he did okay. Gary Trent Jr. though was very good. He's their second leading scorer. He had 22 points, and 5 rebounds and 3 assists. So, and he hit some clutch ass threes in that fourth quarter. So props to him. Thaddeus Young also was pretty effective, even though he only had 8 points. He was giving us some troubles on the rebounds and he got a couple good defensive plays as well. So good for him. And for those of you, obviously Thaddeus Young is a very big player to that team. To their bench at least. He's pretty valuable to them. So Chris Boucher, other than that, Chris Boucher is the only other player that scored for them. He only had 6 points, but he had 5 rebounds. But he only played 19 minutes. So and then yeah. So but yeah, so that kind of wraps up that game. Next up, if you go back, hold on. The next game we're going to cover was the Wizards Magic game. The Wizards beat the Magic by 20 points. What's it called? Markelle Fultz. So Markelle Fultz, well, for those of you who don't know, Markelle Fultz was the first overall pick in 2017. He was selected by the 76ers. And he went through a lot of nagging injuries, especially in his shoulder, where it messed up his shooting form like drastically, and like just affected his play in general. And he's been dealing with injuries on the Magic since he's been traded there. But he's done a great job. But he's trying to bounce. He's been trying to bounce back, and he's been doing a good job. So I got to give credit to where credit is due. He's played well. He had 23 points tonight. He led the team in scoring. And had 5 rebounds and 8 assists. So he was also getting his teammates open for good looks. So good for him. Paolo Banchero only had 15. I'm guessing he had kind of an off game. He didn't really score too much, but it's okay. He's not going to be good every game. He is a rookie after all. So even though he is the first pick from the draft this year, he's not going to score like 30 points every single game. Just give it time. Give him time. He'll start being consistent like in his third or fourth year, I think. But or maybe even next year, who knows? But Franz Wagner also did a great job. He had 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. Well, he only had 1 assist, but he had 20 points. It was second leading scorer on the team. Did a great job. He's a very good scorer, actually. So I got to give credit to Franz Wagner. He's a very underrated scorer for that team. He's also he's a pretty good scorer. He's also a pretty good playmaker as well. So good for him. Wendell Carter Jr. He had 11 and 9. He had 9 rebounds, so he always had a double-double. But Wendell Carter Jr. was from the Bulls. He was in the trade for Nikola Vucevic, and he's played pretty well since being traded to the Magic. So good for him. He's definitely going to be great for that young Magic team. So And yeah, that's kind of it there. On the Wizards side of things, Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma had probably had the best game. He wasn't the leading scorer, but he did have probably the best all around statistical game. He had 25, 10 rebounds and 6 assists. So he did very good tonight, or last night I should say. He did very well. Kyle Kuzma is a player that was very inconsistent on the Lakers, especially playing next to LeBron. But he ever since being traded to the Wizards, he's kind of like flourished on being a shot creator and like a score, one of the main scoring options for this team, especially with Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal kind of taking a step back. Porzingis had 17. He didn't have any assists, but he had 6 rebounds. He did pretty well there. Kristaps Porzingis has kind of had an up and down career. He's had good moments on the Knicks and especially on the even on the Mavericks playing next to Luka Doncic. He's had some good games, but he just didn't. In my opinion, he didn't really fit. He didn't really fit too well next to Luka. I didn't think he fit really well next to Luka. Because he kind of what the Mavericks forced him to do is just shoot spot up threes, and not really shot create that often. So now that he's kind of able to do that with the Wizards, he's been a little more he's played a little more aggressive and he's taken more shots and stuff like that. So I do still wish he would attack the paint more, considering he's a 7'3" guy, but again, that's just not who he is. So it's whatever. Daniel Gafford had 14, 8 rebounds and 2 assists. Daniel Gafford is one of my favorite players on this Wizards team. Actually, he's a very athletic and bouncy center and energetic center for this team. He has a lot of energetic plays. He gets a lot of blocks. He has a lot of good defensive plays. He's very athletic and he's very good in the pick and roll with Bradley Beal and especially when Westbrook was on the Wizards in 2021. That pick and roll duo with Westbrook and Gafford was pretty deadly, actually. So yeah, so he could definitely flourish in if he gets a little more pick and rolls, he'll probably score even more too. Bradley Beal, he's the best player on the team. He only had 17 tonight, but he did have 8 assists. So he was, getting his teammates involved. So he was kind of playing the playmaker role. So good for him. Monte Morris wasn't too good. He only had 10 points. But Rui Hachimura had 30 points. It's very effective. Rui Hachimura is a very underrated player. I definitely, if you haven't watched the Wizards before, he's a very effective small forward. I think he plays small forward. Actually, it'll say here if he is. Actually, it doesn't. But good for him. He had 30 points. He led the team in scoring yesterday, so he played pretty good. So props to him. So that's it for that game. The next game we're going to look at is the Hornets and the Hawks. The Hornets won this game by 4 points, 122 to 118. And in this game, P.J. Washington had a pretty good game. He had 23 points. Let me move the camera. There we go. He had 23 points and 6 rebounds and 6 assists. He's been a very good player for them. I personally think he's probably the player aside from LaMelo Ball that has the most upside as a young player on this Hornets team. I think if the Hornets are going to keep anybody other than LaMelo, I think they should definitely keep P.J. Washington for sure. Because they could definitely build something with those two players, and if they could add maybe a couple more defensive pieces and 3-point shooting around those two, they could be very effective. So that team could actually eventually become pretty good. So Jalen McDaniels didn't play too well. He only had 7 points, but he he's not really expected to score too much, but he did do, he could have played better, but whatever. Mason Plumlee though, however, Mason Plumlee's not really that good. He's like an average center at best. I mean, his playmaking is under the radar, but other than that, he's kind of like just an average center. He can't shoot at all. He's not like someone that could create his own shot or anything. He's a guy that only gets his points off of like pick and rolls and stuff like that. But he had 25 and 11 to yesterday, so he played well. I gotta give him, gotta give him credit where credit is due. He played well. Terry Rozier though led the team in scoring. Now, as a Celtics fan, I definitely miss Terry Rozier. He was a very good backup for us when he was on our team. In fact, when Kyrie went down in 2018, he actually was our starting point guard the whole 2018 playoffs. And he was a big part in leading us to the conference finals and almost to the NBA finals that year, if you remember correctly. We went to 7 games versus LeBron and the Cavs in 2018. So, yeah, he had 34 points tonight. So good for him. He's a very underrated shot creator. Mainly, he's more of a scorer more than anything. He doesn't really pass too much, but he is a very good scorer. He's an underrated scorer at that. So, other than that, everybody else kind of played like nobody else really played well other than those guys. So, but on the Hawks side of things, let's take a look at the Hawks. So obviously Trae Young had 25 and 12 assists. So he did get his teammates involved. I will say that he definitely got his teammates involved. He played well. DeJounte Murray had 26 points as well, so he also, chipped in with the scoring as well. And DeAndre Hunter also stepped up with 25 points. DeAndre Hunter is a very underrated player on that Hawks team. I think they should definitely try to hold on to him if they can. John Collins, however, I'm a little disappointed in the way John Collins has played in the last 2 years. John Collins, ever since after that 2021 run where they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, he hasn't played good ever since then. He has not played good at all. So he's had a major drop off, and I'm not exactly sure why, but hopefully he does eventually turn it around. Whether he gets traded to another team or he just turns it around on the Hawks, but I personally think the Hawks should trade him and maybe get some more players. But I think I think he could fit. He could actually be really good next to what's it called? He could fit really good next to Luka on the Mavericks. I think that would be a bad trade to make. I don't know who they would trade him. I don't know who the Mavericks would trade to get him, but they could maybe trade like a couple of guys, like maybe JaVale McGee or some guys that don't really play a lot. They could probably guys that haven't really been good for them this year. They could maybe make a trade for John Collins. Maybe he'll definitely fit really good next to Luka with that pick and roll. So, yeah. AJ Griffin had 13 as well. Clint Capella had 12 and 9. Clint Capella is a very underrated player. He used to play for the Rockets, and he was their best center for a while. He was like their starting center for a while. It was key on the defensive end and stuff. So good for him. He's kind of had he's been dealing with injuries a lot this year. So I'm hoping hopefully he stays healthy. For this last stretch of the regular season. And hopefully can maybe get the Hawks to a playoff spot or at least a play-in spot if possible. So, yeah, so that covers that game. Bucks and Cavaliers. Cavaliers won this game. The Cavs won this game by 12 points. They won 114 to 102. Now, judging by all you have to do is look at the thumbnail. You can tell that Giannis didn't play. I think he's been dealing with some sort of ankle injury. If actually I can look that up right now. Yeah, Giannis. He's had a knee injury. He's had a lingering knee injury that he's been dealing with, and Middleton I think has had a wrist injury as well. So, uh, yeah. So Chris Middleton has also been out for a while for them. As a Celtics fan, I hate going against the Bucks, but they're a very good team. So I personally think when the Bucks are healthy, they're definitely the number one team. The Bucks are definitely the team they're definitely the biggest threat to the Celtics when they're fully healthy, without a doubt. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But Evan Mobley on the so actually let's start on the Bucks side of things. Uh, the leading scorer for the Bucks yesterday was Drew Holiday. I mean, he's really their only go-to scorer pretty much that they have right now. So he's kind of shouldered that load of just being a shot creator and stuff like that. But he had 28 and 10. He had 10 assists as well. So, he played pretty well. Bobby Portis, did his thing. He had 23 and 11 rebounds. He also hit I watched the highlights of this game. Portis had like 4 or 5 straight threes right out the gate. So, he's definitely a good player for them for sure. He's stepped up. Other than that, though, nobody else really played too well. Pat Connaughton did okay. He had 15 and 7 rebounds, and Lopez had 10, but nobody else scored in double figures other than that. So they definitely are missing Giannis and Middleton without a doubt, but hopefully they will get better come playoff time, or at least within a few weeks. They'll be back soon, so we'll see how good the Bucks are after that. Evan Mobley, on the Cavaliers side of things, though, I will say the Cavs did not have Donovan Mitchell, though, so it's not like the Cavs were fully healthy either. They were without Donovan Mitchell, but they had Evan Mobley had 38 points, almost had a 40 piece, and had 9 rebounds. Evan Mobley played really well. He did well. So gotta give props to him. He did well. So good for him on that. The next leading scorer was Darius Garland. He had 21 and 10 assists. So he did his thing out there. Jared Allen had 12. Karis LeVert had 13, and Kenny Osman had 13 as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the Cavs side of things. But yeah, Evan Mobley, props to him, dude. I've been waiting for him to have a game like this. He hasn't really had too many games where he's like took it over in the scoring department so far in his career yet. He's only in his second year, so hopefully he will take his game to the next level with it as his career goes on. So, the next game is the Rockets Timberwolves. The Timberwolves won this game by 9 points. They won 113-104. What's it called? For the Rockets, I mean, the Rockets are a shitty team. They're the worst team in the NBA. They only have 10 wins, and we're already almost in February. They're 10-36. They're fucking horrible. So, nobody even scored 20 points on this team. But a bunch of people scored in double figures, though, I will say that. Kenyon Martin had 15. Kenyon Martin Jr. had 15. Terry Eason had 14. Şengün at 19. He led the team in scoring there. Eric Gordon. So Eric Gordon's a very old player. He's like in his early to mid 30s. I'm pretty sure. He's been on the Rockets for a while. He played with a bunch of. He got traded to the Rockets in 2016, and played with James Harden for like 4 seasons. So he was always a big part of those teams. So he was like their sharpshooter. He was one of their sharpshooters. And he's still a very good shooter, so I'm hoping Eric Gordon gets traded to a team that is actually contending for a championship, because he actually could bring a lot of value to them as a shooter. So, And Jalen Green only had 10 points. I'm sorry, I haven't been the biggest fan of Jalen Green. I'm gonna be honest with you. He kind of seems like an inefficient shot chucker to me. He hasn't really played efficiently. He's kind of just been like one of those guys that just kind of just playing back. It's almost like people like playing basketball at the park. Like they're just they're just jacking up shots and just not really like playing efficiently. If you know what I mean. So I know, man, he's only 20 years old, so I will give him. I'll cut him some slack. You know, he's still young. He'll obviously will develop as his career goes on, but maybe he'll get more efficient, and take better shots. But yeah, not a good game from him. He only had 10 points and 2 assists, and he didn't even grab a single rebound. So, yeah, not a good look for Jalen Green. On the Timberwolves side of things, oh my goodness, Anthony Edwards had 44 points. Wow. Okay, so Anthony Edwards is a stud. He's a very good player. He was the first pick in the 2020 draft. So, you know, he's a very good player. You know what I'm saying? He's a very good player. He's a very good scorer. He he knows how to get his. He had 6 rebounds and 4 assists as well. So, you know, he had 44 points. Good on him for that. So he took over the scoring load for the Timberwolves for sure. D'Angelo Russell chipped in with 23 points. That's the best game I've seen from D'Angelo Russell in a little while now. I've said, I got to be honest. D'Angelo Russell has definitely fallen off since leaving the Brooklyn Nets. So he hasn't really been good since that year the 1 year that he was an All-Star in 2019. So, but yeah. And then Nathan Knight chipped in with 19, but nobody else scored in double figures other than that. So, but props to Edwards. Rudy Gobert didn't even play in this game. I just realized that. So, props to the Timberwolves for winning that game. Let's see. The next game is Pacers-Suns. The Suns won this game by 5 points. The Suns are missing a bunch of guys. They're actually missing Devin Booker, Chris Paul. DeAndre Ayton came back recently, but they're missing. I think Cam Payne is still on the team. I think, well, yeah, he's still on the team, but I think I don't know if he came back from his injury yet. I know Landry Shamet has, but I don't know if I don't know if Cam Payne has come back yet. But I know Chris Paul and Devin Booker are still out. But for the Pacers side of things, Buddy Hield had 22 points and 8 rebounds. Buddy Hield is definitely one of the most underrated shooters in the entire league. In fact, he's actually one of the best shooters of all time. And I know that sounds crazy, but Buddy Hield, like, statistically, is one of the most efficient three-point shooters in NBA history. Like, you may think I'm lying. Go look at basketballreference.com. I'm not kidding. He has, like, one of the highest three-point percentages of all time. So, props to him. That's a heck of an accomplishment to, that's a heck of a list to be a part of, especially with guys like Steph Curry, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller, and all those all-time shooters. Buddy Hield being up there with still like a bunch of his career left in him is pretty cool. Good for him. Other than him though, Benedict Mathurin, who is their rookie, I believe, right now. He's played very well for them. He had 23, but in this game he had 23 points. He played really well. He played very well for them. If I go to his stats, yeah, I will say he didn't play very efficiently. He only shot 6 of 17 from the field. He was 0 for 3 from 3, unfortunately. He did have 1 steal though, so but good for him. He did okay. Miles Turner chipped in with 16 and 12. And TJ McConnell had a triple-double, 18, 10, and 12. Good for him. How efficient was he from the field? He was 8 of 15 from the field, so actually he shot over 50%. That's pretty damn good. And it was 100% from three. He made 1 3 out of 1 attempt. So good for him. TJ McConnell is a very underrated backup point guard, and I definitely think he's very underrated. You definitely should pay attention to him more if you haven't. But yeah, and the only other guy to score double figures, hold on if I move the camera, was Jalen Smith. He had 11 points and 6 rebounds. So on the Suns side of things, Torrey Craig did not have any points. Bismack Biyombo chipped in with 12 and 16 rebounds. Jesus, okay. That's definitely good for him. He's definitely one of the most disappointing centers throughout his career, but especially with the fact that he cannot shoot at all. His free throw shot is, if you see him shoot a free throw, it's the most stupid. So what is the ugliest form you've ever seen in your life? It's awful. He can't shoot like outside of the restricted area. He can't get it. He can't score at all. So, Mikal Bridge, actually Josh Okogie led the team in scoring. He had 24 points and 10 assists. And he shot, what's it called? He actually shot 0 for 3 from the field. Or actually, no, he was 6 of 11 from the field and 1 of 2, and 50% from 3, 1 of 2. And he had 1 steal and 4 blocks. So he also was getting it done on the defensive end as well. So good for him. The Suns have definitely needed players to step up with Chris Paul and Devin Booker being out. So for him to go off like that was definitely something they're going to need going forward. Mikal Bridges at 22 points. He was 5. He wasn't really that efficient. He was 5 of 12 from the field and 1 of 5 from 3. Actually, no, my bad. I'm looking at the wrong stat line. He was 9 of 19 from the field and 2 of 5 from 3, which is 40% from 3. That's not terrible. And 9 of 19, that's like about just below 50%, like maybe 48% from the field. It's not bad, but it's pretty good. It's not too bad. But he did have 4 steals, so he's also getting it done defensively as well. I mean, he's one of the best defensive players in the league. He was actually a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year last year, so good for him. All right, so that wraps up that game pretty much. And then if we look at, and I think there's one more game, and that was the Sixers versus the Kings. The Kings, the Sixers got a really tough win. They won by 2 points. 129 to 127. Tobias Harris had 17 points, 5 rebounds and 6 assists. He shot above 50. I think about 7 of 13. So I think that's just over 50% from the field. He was 2 of 6 from 3. So it's probably like 30-something% from 3, which is not great, but it's not awful. I've seen a lot worse. So he definitely did his. He definitely at least he stepped up in scoring. Excuse me. PJ Tucker had 0 points, didn't score at all. Montrezl Harrell had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. So he did his thing. He did his thing coming off the bench. He was 7 of 8 from the field, so he was very efficient. Very efficient 17. Obviously he doesn't shoot any threes, so but yeah, and we had 1 block as well, so I would like to see Montrezl Harrell get back to his 6th man of the year type of form. Hopefully he gets back to that at some point. Tyrese Maxey led the team in scoring. He had 32 points. He had 32 points and shot 12 of 29 from the field, which is not the most efficient 37 piece or 32 points ever. He shot 2 of 8 from 3, so he wasn't really that efficient, but he did okay overall. He did all right. At least he did step up scoring at least, but he did all right. DeAnthony Melton had 14 points, and was 4 of 8 from the field. Shot 50% from the field and 50% from 3, but had 3 steals and 1 block. So he did step things up on the defensive end, which is good. Good for them. Shake Milton had 15. Shake Milton had 15 points, and George Niang had 17. So Shake Milton shot below 50% from the field and 50% from 3. Made 1 of 2 from 3. He did have 1 steal. So he played decent. I'd say that's a decent game. And George Niang shot 7 of 12 from the field. So he actually was pretty efficient. He shot over, I think that's over 60%. Shot 60% from 3, 3 of 5. But he's a very good 3-point shooter actually for a power forward. So he's a very good 3-point shooter. So definitely, it's kind of expected of him. And yeah, that pretty much covers. With that being said, that covers pretty much all the games tonight. Like I said, this is my first recap. I'm gonna try to do these every night if I can. We'll see how much I can keep this up, and if there are days that I miss them, I'll just try to mesh the two together. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching my first post game recap. If you like this recap, leave a like, comment down below, and let me know what else you want me to talk about on this channel. So see you guys next time. Peace out, guys.